So how do you follow that?
With you.
That's right, with him, that's it.
All right, let me get my notes set up here. Uh-oh, one thing he didn't say. I'm a jump, thank you. Thank you very much. Well, in that tone of thank you, my goodness, thank you all so much. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. I can't thank you enough for coming out here on a Thursday night. It is Thursday, right? On a Thursday night to come out and listen to somebody talk about stuff that is somewhat uncomfortable, but we need to talk about it.
Right.
But I got to start, when I'm saying thank you, I got to give a huge thank you to all the volunteers who put this together. And I mean, we're going to go down, and there's Teresa and Cliff Severe, D.L. Malou, Bill Dubiansky, Lisa and Clay Walker, Judy Wooten-Lansing, Sarah Lawson, Russell Flanagan, the band, the Double R's, let's give it up. The voice of Rockwall, Mr. Gary Friedman, our MC for the evening. Miss Rebecca Fleming made that beautiful backdrop for us over there, where we'll do pictures and things afterwards. And of course, I cannot forget our event chair, Dr. Janice Carson, who this was her brainchild. She said, we're going to do this, we're going to put an event on, and don't you worry about it, I'll take care of it. And guess what? She has done an amazing job. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for all your hard work. I am truly humbled and honored. Thank you. So, okay, so yes, I'm Dennis London, in case you couldn't figure that one out. It's stuck up on the screen now. I'm a Christian, constitutional conservative, Republican, and a Marine Corps veteran. My last duty station was in California, where I met my wife, Sherry, and we are going on 33 years of marriage now. She hates it when I do this, but I introduce her as my first wife. But seriously, we both of us were longtime visitors coming out here to Texas. For her, she's in the environmental geotechnical field, so she was coming out to Houston and going out to different areas in Texas. And me, I'm in cybersecurity now. So I would go up to North Texas. I'd be in the Plano area. I actually worked for McAfee, so I remember when Preston ended at 121. Remember those days? Frisco, there really wasn't a whole lot going on back up there. So, yeah, I remember those days. But why are we here? What moved us here? Well, I'm a political refugee. That's really what it is. The politics where we were in California was horrendous. I mean, it was insanity. And what I like to tell people is, we were run by the idiocracy. It's really what it is. So when we come here to Texas, and let me get a show of hands if anybody wants to raise your hand, who is not from Texas or born in Texas? Let's see the hands. All right, good. Now, the reason that y'all probably moved here is the same reason that I moved here. And if you watched the forum the other night, our incumbent said, well, the reason you moved here was for the freedoms and liberties of Texas. Yes! That's exactly why we moved here. Where we didn't have those. But it's like a frog in a pot. I mean, hello, okay. How do you boil a frog? Slowly. Now, why do I use that analogy? Because those of us who jumped out of boiling pots landed here in Texas thinking it's going to be nice, cool water. We're going to be good to go. We got in, whoa, water's a little hot. So we started speaking up. And that's why there's a lot of folks here from those other states. Because we don't want to happen here what happened there.
Amen. Amen.
So we and I have lived behind those enemy lines. We've lived through the fall and decline of our once Republican counties, states, cities. And we know the signs that we need to look for. And when you hear your friends from Oregon, Washington, California, Nevada, Arizona, I mean, we can go down the list, and they're telling you, hey, things aren't so good. You might want to listen. I started telling people last time, these are the things that I'm seeing, and I was, oh, Dennis, you don't understand. It's not that bad. He's a multi-generational guy. I mean, come on, he's Texan through and through. You know what I found out during the last campaign, and I've been told during this campaign, Texas, being a Texan doesn't mean you were born in Texas.
Right.
It's a state of mind. It's where your heart and soul is. It's who you are. It's what you believe. And there are too many people that think just because they were born here, that they know more about being a Republican, a conservative, being just someone who understands more than those who have actually lived through it. Because I'll tell you, anyone who's ever been through a bad experience can tell you the damages that can happen from that experience. And when we go to tell you about that, you should listen. And of course, take it as a grain of, take it with a grain of salt, or maybe even, question it and say, well, can you tell me more about it? Because use it as a learning experience. Now, I did serve Texas with that talk. Thank you very much. Don't California my Texas. And that came about because as I was talking to community leaders, and I was talking with the GOP, the Republican Party of Texas, I was talking with the Republican Men's Club, Women's Club, the Hispanic Club. Well, we didn't have the Hispanic Club at the time.
Not yet.
Not yet, but Edna was still there, so she was included in that. And basically what came up was, well, you need to tell people. People need to know what to look for. And so I said, okay, well, what do you want? Well, can you put together a presentation and talk in front of people? Yeah. I have no problem. I've been speaking almost professionally since 2001. Let's do it. So we put together this presentation. I started traveling North Texas. And it wasn't just North Texas counties that I was giving this presentation to. I ended up going down to Bandera last year, and they said, we need you to come back, and we need you to go to Erath and all the other surrounding counties, and then you need to work your way east, and then you need to work your way west, and then you need to work your way south. I said, look, I know there's 254 counties. I don't plan on going all of them. I'll record it, and we can do this. But by the time I get to half of them, we're going to have to update it because California just keeps getting worse. And unfortunately, so does Texas. Because in that presentation, I tell people, well, aren't you glad that's not happening here? And they say, oh, yeah. And then I go, well, let me explain what's actually happening. Do you understand that your legislature did this? And I can point to some of the stuff this legislative session. Do you understand that they voted to infringe on the First Amendment? It failed, but they did. Do you understand they voted to infringe on the Second Amendment? Not just the one that everybody knows about with Holland's vote on 2744. There were others. For those of you that are Glock shooters, they wanted to put a safety switch on all Glocks? Yeah, that wouldn't have gone too well, would it? So I'm always active in the clubs. I'm always talking to people and going around doing that Don't California My Texas. And in the end, I tell people as well, you need to do your homework. You have to investigate your representatives. You need to see what they're doing, your senators, your congressmen. Take a look and see if it lines up with your values. Well, I took my own advice. I had no problem congressionally. I had no problem senatorially. I did have a little problem with our House. And when I started looking into his record and I saw how bad it actually was, I decided, you know what, we need to find a replacement. So then I did. I looked for a replacement. It wasn't me. I didn't want to do it. This is not about me. I was looking for someone. I was asking, why isn't anybody doing it? Where are we going to find someone? And nobody was going to step up. So, military fashion, a lot of you guys know what I'm going to say. If it is to be, it's up to me. So I stepped up, and I did it. Now, got to remember, I'm also running the Toys for Tots campaign at this time. We also did a redistricting. The redistricting, I kept hearing from everybody, you need to wait, don't file. You need to wait, don't file. Don't file yet, you need to wait. And I kept hearing, wait. The longer that we're waiting, the more damage is being done. We can't continue to wait.
That's right.
So I said, all right, what am I going to do? Just going to file. So, drove down. Sherry went with me. We drove down to Austin. We filed with the GOP. In the middle of the Toys for Tots campaign, when I was hair on fire. Well, I'd say hair on fire. Busier than all get out. Let's put it that way. And we got that thing launched and we rocked and rolled. We did a pretty good job. 26% of the vote on an 8-week campaign. I don't think that was too shabby. Considering I was a no-name, nobody knew who I was. Right? But here's the thing, and Gary mentioned it. I don't quit. I'm not a quitter. Some candidates show up during election season and they ask for your vote. Give me your vote. Can I have your vote? Can I earn your vote? What can I do to get your vote? Can I get your vote? Can I get your vote? Can I get your vote? They don't win and they are gone. Dust in the wind. You do not see them again. And then the ones that do win, when do you see them again? Next election time. That's right. I didn't win and I never went away. I've always been here. I've been involved in the community, I've been involved in the charities, I've been involved in the party, I've continued my work, and I actually took it to another level because in 2022, when I started working with the State Republican Executive Committee, I told them, I'm going to come to your quarterly meetings. And they said, well, you're more than welcome, and everybody can come. I was like, really? Nobody ever told me that. So now y'all know, you can go to the SREC meetings, which actually I think is this weekend.
Yep.
Yeah. So, if you don't know who the State Republican Executive Committee is, let me tell you real quick. You know we have the Republican Party of Texas, and they basically run the party, right? State Republican Executive Committee is like the board that runs the party. So if you have an executive team at a company and they have a board, think of the board as the SREC. So now put that into perspective, and you know the tweet, Holland's famous tweet about the SREC and the Republican Party of Texas are defunct organizations that needed an overhaul from the top down. Yeah, when he said that, basically that's as if you were to go up to your boss and your boss's boss and the whole board and go, you guys are irrelevant. Okay, would you have a job?
No.
No, but he does. So I went down in January with the SREC and with a whole bunch of folks, and we went down there for a rally that was called Ban Democrat Chairs. Anybody remember that? Yeah. So we quickly lost. That happened on the second day. And he was just fine with giving it away, and anyone that was at the forum heard him say how he was going to continue to do it because we need to. We need to continue. No, we don't need to continue. You don't give, and I'll use his term towards me, you don't give the enemy power. I mean, I'm sure we got some football players in here, or some folks who have watched football. Would you have your opponent's defensive coordinator run your offensive line? No! Nobody in their right mind would do that, but he's just fine doing that. That's what they're doing. Oh, well, it's only a couple of committees, not substantive. Well, I consider transportation and education substantive. Anyway. So in March and April, I went back down. I went down, I was testifying in front of the House, I was testifying in front of the Senate. I helped get the passage of HB 900, which is the Reader Act, the one to get the explicit material out of our schools. I helped get that one through. I fought against the accessory dwelling unit bill that he wanted to, he actually authored that. I don't want to say he authored it. I think that someone from the Real Estate Association gave it to him and said, you're going to carry this through, and he did. But that one, I have a video that I put out about that one, and it's a bad bill for Texas, and we're really glad that that one failed. But also what I did during that time frame, I notified all the elected officials in House District 33 for all of Rockwall and the parts of Collin County, and then I said, you know what, I'm going to do all of Collin County as well. So I notified all elected officials in both Rockwall and Collin County about those bills, and I said, you need to know this, and you need to send in your status on it. Do you approve or disapprove? Why? And they, I got a few thank yous, and I got some that were like unsubscribe. Like, okay, this is telling you what's going on, not an unsubscribe issue. But okay, hey, they elected them, I didn't do it. So in August, I went back to Austin again, but this time I went down to be a student, and I was a student of an organization called Patriot Academy. The Patriot Academy was put on by Rick Green, who's a former House rep, Nathan Macias, a former House rep, and a lot of other folks who are involved with our legislature. And I would tell you now, that was a boot camp experience for legislation. You want to learn how to actually be a legislator or the process, that's the way you do it. Because we did everything from pre-filing bills, working through committees, introducing our bills, fighting for them, advocating for them, having to learn how to negotiate with other reps. And I was one of only 31 veterans across the country that were selected to be in this, what they called it, the Congress, the Veterans Congress. And I had to have letters of recommendation, had to write a paper. I didn't go to college, and I wasn't very good in high school because I didn't apply myself. My mom's over here, she'll tell you. So I had to write a paper on the Constitution being a living, breathing document, yes or no, and explain. It is not a living, breathing document.
No, sir, it's
Yeah.
not.
And for those that think it is, I want you to understand, it is the foundation of our country. It's the foundation of our laws and our legal system. You can build on it, and you can build from it, but you do not change it. And the only time they ever change it is with Convention of States, Article 5. And there's a whole other thing about that, but I won't get into that. But anyway, so in there, I got to work with, and I had the privilege of actually getting my bill passed. So I have, and by the way, this is equivalent to the same bills and working legislation that they will do, or I will do, I'll say, during the session. This bill is to repeal the obscenity exemption clause that currently sits in our Texas Penal Code. If you're not familiar with it, it's where the teachers and the pedophiles and the librarians and folks that hide behind all of the laws in order to show that filth to our kids, that's where they hide. They hide behind this. Oh, well, gee, I thought we just repealed that. No. What we did is we made a road bump for it. We didn't repeal it. What we need to do is take this and put the teeth back in the law. Make it illegal so that if a teacher does this, they don't just get transferred to another school. They go to jail.
Yeah.
If an administrator does it, they go to jail. Doesn't matter. They would go to jail. And I'm going to leave this. Actually, I'm not going to leave it, but I'll have it available. If you guys want to read it and look through it, this is the change that needs to happen in our legislature. And you've seen it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So needless to say, I've been busy. I've been busy. And I am ready to be effective in my first term. Most first-termers, most freshmen, when they get down there, it's a whole learning experience. They have to understand the nuances. They have to learn who they can trust, who they can work with, what they can do. Guess what? I've been working with these people already. I've been working with their staff. I've been negotiating with them. I know them. I'm ready to work with them. Patriot Academy gave me the ammunition that I needed so that I could go there and be effective. Not just someone that will listen to House leadership, and I've talked to a few sitting state reps, and they've told me specifically, when you get there, the first thing you hear is, well, you only need to sit down, shut up, and do what you're told, and we will guarantee your seat for the next session. That's what they're told. I don't want that. I'm not there to sit down, shut up, and do what I'm told, because that's not why you're sending me there. You're sending me there to be your voice. You're sending me there to be your vote. You're sending me there to be a person of change. And that's what we need. We don't need more and more of the same, because the same is going to continue to get us to California.
Yep.
All right, so that's the bill. And by the way, in November after the general, we can start pre-filing. And you know what a representative has as their priority by what they pre-file. Their first bills that they file. That will be the first bill I file. That's my priority, because as I've talked to people, as I've talked to parents, as I've talked to teachers, they say we need to end this insanity. So that's going to be the first bill I file. So then shortly after that, I started knocking doors again, because I had already made up my mind I wasn't done. I was running. Couldn't file yet, but hey, you know what? I'm going to go knock doors. And I did. But it was a completely different story this time. This time, the overwhelming response at the door was, he is not going back, and thank God you're running again. So I'm going to say this on that matter. He's not going back unless the Democrats vote for him. Because I'm sure y'all have heard Nikki Haley put out that memo, and there's some others that are talking about, hey, Democrats, guess what? Your primary don't need to worry. Why don't you go vote in the Republican primary and help the left-leaning squish get elected? Well, I know they don't use that term, but that's what I use. So yeah, Nikki Haley's encouraging the Democrats, and here's the scary part. For Republicans, less than 25% will vote in the primary. Let me say that again. Less than 25% of Republicans will vote in the primary. Guess how many Democrats typically vote in the primary? A lot. We're talking close to 50%. Most of them get out there. So we have a problem here because we need to get out the vote. We, the Republicans, need to knock on our neighbors' doors, need to have a little barbecue, have something, get folks involved, engaged, and excited about going out and preserving our constitutional rights, preserving the freedoms and liberties that drove many of us here. So I already said, Justin's not going back.
Yes.
The question is, though, who's going to represent you? You know there's another candidate. Now, why me? And I was asked this a couple times here, meeting and greeting some of you. I've lived here and I've supported this community for nearly 6 years. All right? I am not here to take, I'm here to give. And Gary talked about it. I give of myself, I give of my time, I give of my talent, I give of my treasure. I'm constantly involved and engaged. This isn't a stepping stone for me.
There you go.
I'm not looking for another political step or another office or station or anything after this. I'm only doing this because it needs to be done. Some people ask me about term limits. I am a firm believer in term limits. This is not a career move. Career politicians, seriously, I don't even know where that started. That's crazy. I'm also the only candidate who went and spent of my own time, effort, and energy 2023, a good portion of it, down in Austin, fighting and advocating for your rights, responsibilities, and the priorities that you asked the party to do. Our incumbent didn't do that. The other candidate, she didn't do that. And I ran against him before. I'm not afraid of him. I know his little tricks. I know what he's going to do. And sure, there'll be some mailer or something coming out. Now he's moving towards ads and other stuff. Whatever. I don't care. Let him do what he's going to do. As far as endorsements go, a lot of people always ask, oh, well, aren't you going to get any big endorsements? Hey, you know what? I'm endorsed by Grassroots America, We the People. That is not an easy one to get.
And you're strongly endorsed by
Yes, sir, I am. I'll tell you. Grassroots America, We the People, if anybody knows Joanne Fleming, whoo, where do you stand on this? What about this? Well, why that? And then she'll play devil's advocate. She'll come at you from the other side. She'll go, what about this? And you have to be ready for it. What she's testing is if you're going to stand your ground, or are you going to waver just because you want the endorsement? I didn't waver on any of my stances, which is why, thank you, Gary, I got strongly endorsed. I'm also endorsed by the Collin County Patriots, Red Wave, Texas. I'm also endorsed by SREC, State Republican Executive Committee, men and women, and other grassroots patriots and groups. I didn't go after the big endorsements. I have grassroots endorsements because this election, it's not about Trump. It's not about Abbott. It's not about Paxton. It's not about any of them. This is about us. This is about you, your family, your properties. I don't care if they want to endorse me or not. I really don't. What I care about is if I get your endorsement, because that's what matters. Your endorsement to me I call it a vote. That is what I want, because it's about serving you. Real change comes from the bottom up, not the top down. We don't need more hierarchy over us. So when you elect me as your next state representative, you're entrusting me with your voice and your vote. You're entrusting me with that authority that you would give to someone who's going to go make hard decisions for you. That's not something I take lightly. That's an honor that we should have and that we should keep and bestow. Now, I know that some folks have asked me tonight, and you probably heard, I talked, about it. Well, Dennis, you said you were going to have some special guests. Who are the special guests? Look around. It's you. You're my special guests. I don't need to have Senator Cruz come in, Governor Abbott come in. I don't need to have any of them come in because they aren't going to do anything for me. They're going to come in and grandstand and grandiose on their own and talk about what they want to do and then say, and he's going to help us. Okay, maybe, yeah. Depending on what they want to do, because there's some things they've done that we didn't like, right?
Yeah.
Right? We're all not perfect. So, again, I'm asking you to elect me to be your representative, to be your voice. Now, I want you to also know, I believe in being available. If you look at all the literature, my phone number's on it. That number does ring on my phone. I've answered it numerous times. And I've had a lot of people say, wait a minute, you're Dennis? Yeah, you dialed the number. Last time I had one person, Sherry and I were driving out, and we're in the car, we're just getting out of the garage, phone rings, don't recognize the number, and I said, honey, hold on. I stopped, I answered it. There's a voice on the other, are you Dennis? Yes, ma'am. Dennis London? Yes, ma'am. Well, you just got our vote. Okay, can I ask how? She goes, well, I called all the other numbers and ain't nobody answering. Thank you. So that's how I got that vote. But you have to remember as well. Did y'all get this magazine? Yes. How many of you saw my ad in this?
Yeah.
All right. There were 40,000 homes that received this in Rockwall. Out of those 40,000 homes, look around at how many people are here. Now, more than likely, you may have gotten one of the 300 cards that were mailed out. Or maybe you did see it in here. Or maybe somebody invited you. More than likely, someone invited you. Because it's personal invitations. That's what is going on. You have to have a personal invitation. And when I'm talking to people and I say, hey, look, I'm going to be available for you. I want you to be able to reach out to me and talk to me and what have you. It's not just a statement. It's not just something I'm making up or thinking about. See, in the Marine Corps, our motto is Semper Fidelis, always faithful.
Wow.
So I'm going to use something a little different. Semper Presto, which means always available. Because as your representative, you should be able to pick up the phone and call me. Leave a message and know I'll get back to you. Not reach a staffer, hi, I'm sorry, he's not available to get back to you, but if you leave a message, I can get back to you for him. And then you never hear again. I've called them, I've had that. Not just our rep, other reps. Doesn't it make you feel insignificant when they don't bother to call you back? Or how about you get that email, thank you for contacting the representative's office. And you're like, really? You know, I came to you with a problem, or I have a solution, or I have something, but they don't do that. But when you speak to a candidate, you should be able to talk to them. You should be able to ask them the questions. And I know some of you came here just specifically to ask me a couple of questions. And I freely will answer any question. I'll stay here until they kick us out. I don't have a problem with that. Although Sherry might be like, hey, I'm tired, let's go. She loves it though. Because, well, actually I love it because I'm a talker naturally. So I have the advantage of, she can't get me out of her room now because I'm talking to potential constituents. Sorry, honey, I'm talking to them. So, anyhow, okay. Well, let's talk about something that nobody is comfortable with. And there's a couple of other candidates running for other positions in here, and we all talk about campaign donations. All right? Both the other candidates have big money. The incumbents' donations, well, Speaker Phelan, PACs, lobbyists, etc., all those folks. The other candidate, she's got donations from out of state and out of district billionaires. Heck, I don't even know a billionaire. You know, I know of a couple. I don't know any personally. Especially any of them that are in the district or even out of there. I'm just a grassroots guy. My campaign is entirely supported by grassroots donors like you. I have one PAC, and that's the Republican Women of North Texas. They gave me $100. They're not going to ask a lot. But you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm still going to represent them, even as your representative, because that's the thing. Representatives, they represent everyone in Texas. Yeah, I'm your district rep. I want to be your district rep. I want to be your voice down there. But I have to do what's right for Texas. You first, but Texas. So everybody asks, why is this so important? You know, you have donors that are coming from out of state. Yeah, I do. You know what? I have donors in California that are donating. You know why? Because this is important. They know how important it is. Reagan said it best when he said America is the last best hope for the world.
Amen.
Texas is the last best hope for this country.
Amen. Right.
If Texas falls, where do we go? If Texas falls, we will not see another conservative Republican again in our lifetimes in the presidency. We probably won't have another Republican president even in your grandchildren's lifetimes. That's how serious it is. So, I go back to talking about it, and some people want to know, what's the percentages? Sure, I'll tell you. 65% since the start of my campaign in 2023, 65% of my donations are all in the district. 85% come from within the state of Texas. I'm not beholden to anybody that's a billionaire, a PAC, a lobbyist, or what have you. I'm beholden to you. Because you're the ones who are supporting the campaign. You're the ones who are making it happen. It's not me. Now, there are mailers that are coming out, because I've heard people say, well, when you get a mailer, I want to see a mailer. I mean, I know you're going to do a good mailer, right? Come on now, it's got to be a real good one. It's got to be a doozy, especially after that GOP forum. Holland torpedoed his campaign. Come on! Okay, look, I'm not going to, drive the nail home in his coffin. He does that on his own on Twitter. I don't need to. We got mailers coming out, but right now we are fundraising. We're trying to raise $10,000 because we've got radio ads that we want to run. We have voiceover artists that are helping us with this, so it's going to be professional quality. It's not just going to be me making funny noises, but be somebody else. Yeah. There are donation links on your table. Some folks have seen the envelopes. Some folks brought envelopes, and I appreciate it. And I appreciate any and all help you can give on that, because it's people like you and your individual donations that are going to make the change that we need to see, not want to see, need to see in Austin. And that's the secret, really, because the power for change is in this room. Again, I mentioned 300 postcards, 40,000 households. They all got the magazine. But y'all came here mostly because of a personal invitation. Some of you, it was from me. Maybe it was from my wife. Maybe it was from someone on the campaign or just a friend. So if a personal invitation, which is free, by the way, can get better results than hundreds of mailers and tens of thousands of people receiving a magazine, I want you to understand that power is in this room. That power is how we win the Texas House back. That power is how we win the election and tell the incumbent, you are done, and we can set him out to pasture. All right. Friends, I lived through and watched the California legislature slide to the left. Not like the dance move slide, but I mean they just dropped. And I am not going to let that happen here. And the time is now to keep Texas not just red. We have Republicans in office now. Well, they call themselves Republicans. Some of them say they're conservative. But we need to stay conservative. And as you, my special guests, you know you're the magic of this campaign. If you want change, you have to have the power to make it happen. And one way you can do that, and I heard Ted Cruz tell this story. He talks about multiplying your votes, and people were like, whoa, wait a minute, we're not Democrats. He says, I know, okay, don't worry about that. But when you leave the polling center, and you are finally able to pull out your phone, because you know you're not allowed to use it in there, right? So, I don't know why, but I can hack the machine up in the parking lot, doesn't matter. Sorry, did I say that out loud? Yeah, election integrity, right? Come on, we know we need it.
Okay.
You can pull your phone out at that point, open it up, and you start texting your friends. Text at least 10 and tell them, folks, there's no line at the polling station. Get down here and place your vote. Make it happen. You just multiplied your vote. If you got a little bit longer of a drive, or you're sitting at a light, or you get home and maybe it's lunchtime and you got a little extra time, do another 10, maybe another 20. You multiply your vote, because I'm going to tell you right now, that's what the Democrats do. They call their friends. They have little text strings, and they let them all know, hey, go down to here. You can vote over here. They're not checking ID. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't say that. But that's how you can multiply your vote. But you don't have to actually wait if you want to multiply your vote. And we'll do it the right way, the Republican way. To multiply your vote, what I'm asking for is we have a portal called the London Voter Portal. And you can go back and talk to Sherry about it, and she'll take your name and give you an invitation to it. Because just show of hands, how many of you know somebody who's going to vote for me but just couldn't make it or isn't here tonight? All right, that's about half the room. Would you be willing to take the 20 or 30 minutes to look in the portal, see if you can find those people and mark them down as, yeah, I know they're voting for Dennis.
Absolutely.
Because if you do that, guess what? Remember, I'm not trying to get to a runoff. I want to win the election. When it comes time, if we are in a runoff, I don't want to call any of my opponents supporters. I want to call my supporters. Now, I'll call the ones that one not in the runoff, but that would give you the capability of multiplying your vote. We'll know who it is. And again, I'm going to make this real clear. I'm not running to get to a runoff. I'm running to win the whole thing, the whole thing to do. Because if we win the primary, the general's a shoo-in. Now, the power of your vote. If every single one of you that voted for me last time just brought a friend, and they voted for me, did you know that number alone would put me over the top? No, that's fine. She's like, really? But it's true. I did the math, I looked at it. If every person that voted for me last time brought a friend and had them vote for me, I'd win. Not that hard, is it? Now what if you brought two? Maybe three.
Or 20.
Or 23. There you go. Oh, wait, hold on. We're in District 33. There we go. All right. So, folks, I've been talking for a little while, and I really appreciate all your patience. And I also know that the mind can only absorb what the butt can endure, even though there's a bar. And I know that some of you are wanting to go, and it's okay, but we'll do that in a bit. So I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to stay, and I'm going to take photos with y'all. Anybody that wants to take a photo will do that. That wonderful backdrop by Rebecca, thank you again. I'll be over there. We'll be taking pictures. I'm going to stick around. I'm going to answer your questions. I know I answered a lot beforehand, but if you still have questions, I will answer them. And again, like I said, until they kick us out, I'm going to be here. So thank you all for coming. Thank you again to our host committee, our event chair, Dr. Carson, our band, our volunteers. Thank you. Together we can take back the Texas House. I ask for your vote, and God bless you, and God bless Texas.